What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night so far. We got some very special guests with me. I got my co host Ross. We got Cliff from Twitter. Gotta love him. Chavez Grant as well, former Miami Hurricane, I believe from '06 to '09. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chavez. So,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
hey, we greatly appreciate your time on the scoop, Cliff, as well. We're here to chop it up, man. Talk some Canes football. Obviously, we all saw the game. I kind of went on. I did my little rants after the game. I know Ross. He had a big perspective on the game as well. Cliff, I'll kick it to you first, man. Kind of what were your initial thoughts against Michigan State Spartans losing by 21 at home?
Oh, well, first of all, guys, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. And about the game, I mean, the one word that is just embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah.
from, the start, it looked decent from the beginning for the first quarter or so, that everyone, and then after that, it was just downhill. And they can't tackle anybody on defense. It's embarrassing. That kid was running through us like a steamroller. We got guys hitting blockers instead because they didn't want to try to tackle the guy. You know what I'm saying? It was awful. Let me tell you, it's awful. And I think that, Mandy Diaz loves to, put all the chains and stuff out there. And I was all for it. I ain't gonna lie. In the beginning, the first year or two is cool and stuff, but all that stuff is just a ploy to keep people, oh yeah, let's get the chains out instead of, bro. I don't give two shits about the chains. I want to win games. I want to break all those chains. Let's melt that down and build a statue for Howard or something. You know what I'm saying? Because all that chain doesn't mean those rings and all that crap don't mean nothing. We're getting beat and we're still bringing out stupid chains and rings. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, you're down by 27 points against Alabama. You're putting on the turnover chain over a useless turnover. You're down 27 points. What's the point? ESPN's making a mockery of you.
Hmm.
Chavez, I mean, what were your thoughts, about losing to Michigan State? We were favored by 6.5 points at home. And we lose by 21.
Oh man. I kind of agree with my man over here, man. It was kind of embarrassing. I expected a lot more. I don't know if I expected that we would win the game, but I thought that we would be competitive. One of the things that jumped out to me immediately was De'Aaron King when he was throwing the ball, like all of his passes were like diving. So I was like, something doesn't seem right there. And then I guess today it came out on ESPN that he's getting his shoulder evaluated, but that's another conversation. But just overall, man, it didn't look promising. It didn't look like it just didn't look like we were supposed to be out there. Against someone like Alabama, I kind of get it. They've been a top team for so long. They've got the best of the best athletes. They got some of the best coaching. So you kind of expect an outcome like that, but from Michigan State, it just looked like we didn't belong. So a lot of the game I couldn't even watch. So it got that bad for me. I can't continue to watch. So I watched for a little while and I kind of gave up on it. So they didn't give me anything to watch for. So it was disheartening.
Absolutely. And, speaking of Manny Diaz, I want to ask you, Chavez, you're a former player. I asked Colin McCarthy this as well, great linebacker at the University of Miami. I asked him about the scheme we're running, 4-2-5. He said basically it doesn't matter what scheme you run, you have to know your assignments. I want to pick your brain on this. Do you like the scheme we're running at Miami?
Um, I think. Well, here's what I'll say about this scheme. I think that the schemes change because of the climate of college football. So like everything is like it's like hurry up offense, it's spread, they're throwing it everywhere. So I kind of get the change in scheme, but also like Colin said, that's my boy. I played with Colin. So he's absolutely right. It doesn't matter what scheme you're running, like tackling is football. I don't care if you've got 11 D linemen or 11 DBs. You've got to tackle. You know what I mean? And if guys don't know what they're doing, again, the scheme doesn't matter. So we just look lost out there. So as far as the scheme goes, I get the change in scheme. I I get why they're going to that scheme because of the climate of college football. But at the same time, like, it seems like there's a disconnect between the coaches and the players. And it's really obvious when you watch the game, you see it on the field. Like there's no scheme where guys should be running down the field wide open. So, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. Ross, anything you want to add to everything we've spoken about so far?
What's upsetting to me is that, we can lose games, and that's going to happen every year. But when you have no direction that the team is going in, or you don't have anything that you're really looking forward to seeing or building off of, it makes it hard as fans. It really does. If we started to see some stuff maybe in the second half of the Michigan State game that was new, creative, even if it didn't lead to a victory, it would have gave us something to build off of and something to look forward to. And as of right now, I was saying no direction, no discipline, no accountability. And like Chavez said, we simply can't even tackle. We're not even doing the basics right now.
No, I agree. I think tackling is kind of the basic principle of football. And I think we lead the nation in missed tackles. There was a highlight clip Sports Center brought up about Gervin Hall. Hate to single out players, but I think everybody agrees. What was he doing? I asked Chavez before we came on live. He agrees. He has no idea. So it's very confusing. It's very perplexed what's going on. Cliff, seeing this entire team, I mean, do you have any idea? I mean, tackling's one thing, but Will Mallory hasn't really developed. I made a comment stating, Manny Diaz, everyone who he's evaluated recruiting wise from high school besides Gregory Rousseau hasn't really developed either. We haven't had only our players from the transfer portal really come in and make a big impact. I mean, what's your whole perspective on this?
Oh, well, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing the last like 10, 12 years. No, not many players have gotten better. I mean, there's a few guys here and there that I think have gotten better, but 90% of our guys have not gotten better. I mean, you're a tight end, you're a wide receiver. Your one job is to run a good route and catch the ball. Some of the guys are running good routes. Some of them can't catch. I mean, it's all over the place. And like you said, with the tackling on defense, I mean, that's football 101. If you can't tackle, how the hell are you going to play defense? I mean, you can't play defense if you can't tackle. I mean, you might as well go play offense if that's the case. So the development has been bad for 10, 12 years now, maybe more. Who knows? I mean, it's all a blur because it's been like this. You know what I'm saying? And even when we had Shannon and we had Folden and we had now it's the same thing with Mandy. He does the same crap, bro. They're all the same three people. Don't get me wrong. They seem like great people and this and that. But to me, Manny's just a cheerleader. He's a politician. He says what you want to hear. That's all he's saying to you. Even in the interview today, he said something. I can't listen anymore because I get so frustrated. But he was saying today that our offensive line kicked their butt. I'm like, what the hell? Was he drunk in the stands with my boys in the West End Zone? I mean, I don't even understand that. What is this guy watching? We are getting killed everywhere. I mean, one guy played good. That was it. One, Rambo. That's it. Nobody else played good in the whole game. Nobody. Actually, I take that back. Steed played pretty decent. Wayman Steed played pretty decent. Other than those two, that's it. So I think it's time, and I like King a lot. He's a great person. He was great last year. It's time to sit him for a couple games and let these young kids they're not going to do any worse. I mean, he had 4 turnovers. I mean, you might as well see what you have. Let's, sit down.
What Cliff is saying, the next game we're playing Central Connecticut State. It's a win-win. Like, we literally cannot lose this game, right? If we do, I mean, I don't think Manny Diaz will be retained tomorrow. I mean, the next day.
They lose that game and that thing's going down in flames, the Rock.
Right.
There ain't going to be no more of that. These people are going to go bonkers on that place.
Right. I actually looked up Central Connecticut State on YouTube for some highlights, and I couldn't find any. It was like 4 years ago against Syracuse, so we have to win this game. Ross, do you think it's fair to play some of the underclassmen, get some burn, get some snaps in?
Oh, absolutely. Play them early and play them often. There's no reason to risk injury for guys that, maybe a guy like Rambo, we've seen that he can fit into the system a little bit. It doesn't hurt to get those guys out there for early snaps and keep that momentum and keep that chemistry trying to build. but there's absolutely no reason why they should get extended snaps in a game like that. This game sets up beautifully to play young players, and with the fact that we can do the new redshirt rule, with playing 4 games and not burning the red shirt, this is absolutely perfect. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't let our guys kind of pin their ears back and see if they can get some success against a lesser opponent.
Chavez, I'm sure you've been in a lot of situations during your career as a football player at Miami where, you guys are facing adversity. The locker room is probably a little bit in turmoil. Maybe the offense isn't clicking, the defense is taking care of things, or vice versa. As a former player, of the University of Miami Hurricane for life, how would you handle this situation as an upperclassman going into, a soft team, you're completely better than, and you guys just came off of a bad loss? What would you internally do in the locker room?
Well, what you would really do is you would really think about how we could use this game to. These are the kind of games that you're going to dominate just strictly off talent. So more so what we look at is execution. You know what I mean? So doing all the small things, because when your talent isn't going to win, then all the small things have to be executed. So you use a week like this where that, hey, let's try to touch up on all the small things like tackling, like blocking, all the simple things like assignments. Let's do all these things great. We know that strictly off talent, if we just go out there and play, we're going to beat Central, Connecticut State, whoever it is. We know that. But now we have to touch up on all these small things so that we don't get blown out by Michigan State, who was probably just as talented as us. But when you don't tackle, then you lose. Of course they're going to put up points. Of course the defense is going to look bad. And you've been tackling since I started playing football at 8 years old. The first thing they teach you to do is tackle. So if you're now 18, 19, 20 years old and you're playing Division I college football with against other D1 college teams, and all these guys are on scholarship too, and you decide you're not going to tackle anybody, you're not going to win football games. So to me, it's as simple as that. This week we'll be focusing on, how do we drill things down? How do we get back to the basics? Because we don't need all week to try to figure out this complex game plan or this complex scheme. We can beat these guys on talent. Let's focus on the small things.
No, very well said. I wholeheartedly agree. Just focus on the little things, focus on your assignments, and just play Miami Hurricanes football, what you're taught in practice, and go out and perform and win the football game and dominate. Now, seeing that we saw that, D'Eriq King, his shoulder, it's not 100%, just came off of a torn ACL injury. We don't even know if he's 100% there. This game, it should be an easy win. Chavez, do you think we should maybe test out a Tyler Van Dyke, Jake Garcia for this game and just rest D'Eriq King?
100%. 100%. I think, like I said, after the first few minutes of the Michigan State game, I was like, something's wrong with D'Eriq King. I could tell because he was throwing a post and it was just diving, and he was, throwing passes and they were just diving right into the ground. I was like, he doesn't have strength in that arm. I don't know why, but it doesn't look right. But I think this is the prime time to put maybe a Jake Garcia, maybe a Tyler Van Dyke, somebody else. But you got to give somebody else a shot because we haven't looked good in the past 3 games. So you have to put somebody else out there. You've got to shake this thing up. I don't know if D'Eriq King is, like you said, I don't know if he's not 100%, but I'm sure you've got some hungry guys behind you who I watched the spring game. These guys look capable. So put them out there. If they struggle, this is the game they need to struggle. So put them out there, let them struggle, and let's see where it goes from there. It right now, it should be an open quarterback battle. That's what I think.
Yeah, and if you inject some of the young guys in there, you might fire up some of these old guys. Put a fire under their ass, man. Get them going. That's the only thing I could think of. The young kids can't be worse than what we're having right now.
Right.
Anyone could go out there and drop 3 passes or drop a touchdown like the other day. They could do that same thing. Why not try them? The freshman, Brinson came in there. He played well when he was in there too. He's probably the 3rd guy that I saw. He caught his pass. Every pass that was thrown to him, he caught. It was only 2 or 3, but he caught them.
Ross, do you think the offense changes with a new quarterback in play instead of D'Eriq King?
The way that it could change is if we start to see the deep pass game start to connect on a consistent basis. That's been something we've been missing for far too long. We saw what the Lashlee offense looked like when the deep pass was connecting, and we saw it in the second half of our bowl game against Oklahoma State. You don't necessarily have to hit all of your deep passes, but just the mere thought and the mere presence of it being available can throw off a defense big time. We got to at least make teams, honor that aspect of the game for us. If they can just sit back, cheat on us, and wait to play the run, beat us on the outside one-on-one because our receivers don't fight for the ball, nothing changes then. Nothing changes if this is the mentality we go for. I need to see something in this game. I need to see Lashlee. You don't want to say dig into his bag of tricks necessarily and expose something for the future. But here's the thing. We don't have anything we need to hide anymore. We don't have anything that we need to be necessarily concerned about in that aspect. We have major problems that have to be addressed now. There's no reason to dink around, no reason to screw around. Use this game as a building block. I love what Chavez said. Let these guys go out and struggle. We can win this game because we're simply bigger, faster, and stronger. Let these guys get some of the struggles, the bumps and bruises out of the way.
110% agree. I'm going to bring in our next guest, 24/7 Canes. Welcome to the Scoop. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Great, man. Thanks for joining the show. I'm going to kind of tail this back to, my next question. You can answer it. I mean, where do we go from here? You've seen the poor tackling. We led the nation in missed tackles. We haven't developed as a football program under Coach Diaz. Where do you go from here? The Coastal is still in front of you, obviously. What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, obviously, let's start off with the tackling, right? I think I don't think things are going to change with the tackling because it's just the way Manny's been teaching it. He's been using a tire in tackling drills. I mean, that's just terrible. In today's world, that's just tackling. You're basically teaching kids how to arm tackle, not kids, young men. And I just think they need to shy away from that and get back to contact. That's just my sole opinion on that. Where do we go from here in terms of the ACC, taking one game at a time? Obviously, we got to get through Central Connecticut State, and then we got Virginia, which Virginia threw all over UNC. And if we don't make any adjustments on defense, it's just going to be a party for Virginia. It's going to be another ugly game. So, I mean, I think it starts with the fundamentals, tackling, and getting back to contact drills, at least some type of contact.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. Cliff, do you see Manny Diaz turning this program around and winning the Coastal?
To me, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love it to happen, but I don't see any way I think that he's already kind of lost the team, to be honest with you, after 3 games. I think he's telling some of these kids that, that they're going to play and whatnot. And some of them, why didn't Cody Brown the other day get any carries? Why didn't Thad Franklin the other day get any carries? I mean, you don't run Cam into the ground. I mean, you could tell he was tired. He wasn't breaking any tackles the other day. Put those other 2 guys in and let them play. I mean, they're on the team. They're the second and third running backs with Rooster out and Chaney injured. So let those guys play. But I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see any way possible. I think that, like you said, the tackling's a huge issue. Guys dropping passes, just no intensity. This doesn't look like Hurricane football. These guys aren't fired up before. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Manny's a cheerleader. I guess he's a bad cheerleader because these guys aren't pumped up at all. I mean, there's no fight in them. I don't see. So, I mean, I'm sure. I know there's some guys I saw on the sidelines that look, like they were pissed off, but some guys looked like they didn't care after 3 games, and I'm like, that's not the way it should be.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny when they were running through the smoke. I saw Michigan State sprinting out there. Miami, I think Restrepo, it was someone else, the first player out there. There were 2 players sprinting out the smoke, and I was like, maybe that's an early sign, And then every kickoff return, Michigan State was sprinting to the end zone. They were fired up. They wanted to play. Just little things like that. You catch. I always wonder, like, hey, maybe that's an early sign.
Yeah,
maybe it was.
X is always going to give you 110% always. So he's one of those kids on the team that is just like that. So I mean, I
Absolutely.
wish we had 100 of them.
Chavez, what do you think rest of the way, man? Do you think Manny can turn this ship around and prove us wrong, or it's going to be an uphill battle?
No, it's an uphill battle. I think Manny's done. Like my man Cliff was saying, I think he's lost the team. I just don't see them. It's one thing to not understand like a scheme, but like tackling that's a want to. Like you can't you can try to teach somebody to tackle. They can tackle a tire or a dummy or a person, but if they don't want to tackle, so missing tackles that's an effort and a want to thing. So I just don't. From watching the game, it doesn't look like they just don't want it. It doesn't look like they want to play for him. If we take it back, if I can get on my soapbox, I think Manny was like a panic hire. So I don't know if he. My dad said this years ago. He doesn't think that Manny's the right man for the job. He never liked Manny. But and now it seems to be coming true. Like he doesn't. Like the guys were saying, we haven't developed. Players haven't developed. Nothing. It doesn't seem like there's anywhere in the program when we go on the field that's progressing. So like the defense isn't getting better, or the special teams isn't getting better, or like our quarterbacks aren't playing through the roof, or like our running. There's no group that you can point to and say that this group is getting better. I think guys have been like, kind of middle of the pack, and they've been consistent, but there's nothing really progressing. And for Manny to be a defensive coach and a defensive coordinator, that's the side of the ball. If nothing's going to go right, defense has to be right, because that's what you do. And so if the defense isn't right, then why would the offense think that you can't get right what you do? So why would the offense think that you can lead the team? Why would special teams think that you can lead the team? So I think right now we're in a bad spot. I don't think Manny's the guy for the job. I don't think that he will make it through the season. I think we've lost. I think we'll lose about 6 games, unfortunately. But I think that will be. I think that'll be the end of Manny. I think it depends on how we play in these games and what the scores look like. If we get blown out, maybe 2 or 3 more games before the end of the season, I think he'll be gone before the end of the season. But I think we'll lose 6 games, and at the end of the season, he'll be gone, and we'll be looking for a coach.
Very well said, man. Hey, 6-hour coaching hires, Temple's second choice. This is where we are right now. We have 111 people joining us in 25 minutes, halfway through the show. Greatly appreciate everyone's support. We got Miami Hurricane football players here from 06 to 09. We got Cliff. We got 24/7 Canes. Got my co-host Ross. Ross, halfway through the show, what do you want to touch up on we haven't hit on that you want to bring up?
Well, there's one thing about, we talked about King a little bit, but there's something specific I want to touch on King here, and it's his hesitancy. You can't be a good quarterback and double think your moves. You can't be a good quarterback and double think how you're going to use your legs or how you're going to use your arm. I see that hesitancy from him. If that's what's truly going on, then the coaching staff has to be seeing it in practice too. So I'm not sure what the issue is, because that's something that just doesn't manifest itself out of nowhere. You either have confidence or you don't. Right now, he is double thinking his moves and double thinking his throws, and that's going to put us one step behind. Like that late interception he threw in the game where he was more than a full second behind throwing the ball, not even 0.5. We're talking about a full 0.15 seconds almost late letting the ball out of his hands. This is something that we simply can't allow to happen anymore. And if Lashlee and them are seeing this in practice, they need to do what's right for the team, and they need to make the move to let him heal and sit a little bit, because this is going to get him hurt. Seriously, if he's out there and he double thinks this stuff, he will get himself hurt. That's what happens.
Yeah, hey, the last thing we want this year is having a underclassman quarterback taking the reins, and I guess hey, we'll see what happens. Maybe Garcia or Van Dyke could be the future of the program. I mean, look, King's been here for 6 years. He has a story, everything he's been through. He lost his father, transferring schools. It's a tough story, and I want him to have a great final year of college football. Is he meeting the expectations that Kirk Herbstreit set, that he'd be the face of college football, the short list on a Heisman candidate list? No, he is not. So he's got a long way to go to improve in that aspect. I don't think he can see over the line of scrimmage. I don't know what's going on. He missed Harley, Restrepo. I was sitting in the East End zone. He missed a lot of guys. 24/7 Canes, what are you seeing from King that he needs to improve on?
His reads. Every single read that he does. His hesitancy, just like North Fresh mentioned. He just looks hesitant whenever he's going through his progression. He's hesitant to run and take off with the ball. There's just something not clicking on this offense, and it's not only King. I've gone back to Pro Football Focus. I don't use that as the most important thing, but I do use it when I'm watching film to see what other guys see from when they're evaluating a player. And when he's the highest rated offensive player every single week, every single game for us. So I just think that there's something that's not clicking with this offense, whether it's the RPO or something else, the O-line. I don't know exactly what it is. Of course, it makes it tough when you can't have a running game. But I just think that North Fresh hit it right on the head. It's mainly his hesitancy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Ross, any question you want to bring up to everyone on this live show?
Yeah, actually, I got a question for all you guys. Cliff, feel free to jump in first on this one. I have noticed something with Lashlee, and I've watched his film at his time at SMU, and I've watched his film at his time at Miami. He looks like he's gun shy to me. He looks like this offensive line has actually turned him into a different play caller. What do you feel about that statement?
No, I agree 100%. I mean, I know it's crazy to say, oh, SMU has a better offensive line than Miami, but they did, But I mean, I think that, their receivers and stuff are the same kind of guys we have. It's just the line's not giving them time to, see downfield. And, maybe that's why, I mean, he's probably gun shy a little bit because it's probably in his head too, about getting hurt last year and stuff like that. And maybe his shoulder isn't 100% like like they've been talking about today. But either way, Lashlee's offense, and I was defending him earlier in the season in the first game because my buddies were like, "Oh, you said Lashlee was going to be good. This guy's not. He's terrible." And I'm like, if you go back and look at him running SMU, that was unbelievable. I mean, they were like Loyola Marymount of college football back in the day. Now it's like this offense is like techno ball. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when we used to play video games, it's terrible. Guys just run in the middle of the hole. Everything's so basic. I don't understand it. So, and I think the big O-line definitely has a huge part of that. But that's another thing. We're like you said, we're not developing players anywhere. Not offensive line, not receivers, not cornerbacks, not safe. Nobody. So, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Chavez, what do you think, man? Do you think that this is part of what's going on with Lashlee? Do you think this offensive line has him shook?
Yeah, I think so, man, because, I mean, you would think that he would have a lot of confidence in his offense with someone like De'Aaron King, who's been doing it for a long time and who's been highly productive. But, when you got a guy out there and he's been, like I said, he's been highly productive and you're confident in him, but now your offense isn't thriving. I mean, your most important position on offense is, we like to think that it's quarterback, but I mean, you can put Aaron Rodgers back there. If he doesn't have time to throw the ball, then you've got nothing. So again, like we've been talking about, I know they've got some top guys on the O-line that all these NFL scouts say that one of these guys could be one of the top 10 O-linemen, but if that's one guy out of 5, and every time De'Aaron King's dropping his back, he's worrying about getting hit, or he's worrying about where the pressure is going to come from, then he's not going to throw the ball with confidence. And Lashlee isn't going to call these plays where we need to go downfield because he doesn't think that De'Aaron King has the time. So again, it goes back to De'Aaron King's health. Like, can he move like he used to? Is the line going to block? Can he take a 5 or 7 step drop and throw the ball downfield if he doesn't have time? So, all these things come into play, but it's definitely not the Rhett Lashlee we've seen. So I don't know what the problem is. I think our focus needs to be online, the O-line. Maybe we keep a tight end in. Maybe we do max protection, but something's got to change. I mean, I don't know that any of those I just suggest, are the answer. But you would think that this offense would be a lot better, more explosive. But it just doesn't seem to be the case. So we've got a lot of corrections to make.
And let me jump in real quick. And I think maybe that is why Cam played, majority of all the game last week, because he is the best blocking tailback that we have, running back that we have. So maybe they were worried about, if I put one of the freshmen in and they miss a block or something, we're gonna get King killed. So maybe that has to be part of it too. So sorry, I just wanted to jump in and say that.
24/7. I'd love to get your take on that as well, bro.
I 100% agree. I've talked about this. Cam Harris is the best pass protection guy that we have, and the freshmen are just not ready to do that. I would disagree on going max protect. I don't even know if Arroyo can pass protect right now. Mallory, we've seen him try to pass protect, and he's just been god awful. I don't mean to throw shade at his way, but he's been god awful. We need more explosive plays on the field. That's what I think. And we're not, whether it's the O-line that's not giving him enough time, which I don't think that's the case, or maybe they're just dropping back 6 people at times, and they know exactly we're going to run, and they take away the middle of the field. They take away, Lashlee's offense has been so predictable every single game. And we've talked about this, Scoop, back in the game. So I think that's part of the problem. The play calls are so predictable that it's just not helping. And then the combination of the O-line not being able to run block just makes us one-dimensional.
No, I agree, 100%. Ross, anything else you wanted to add before I get to my next question?
On the other side of the ball, I guess the only question that really stands out to me majorly right now is pass rush. Do we even have the personnel to manipulate the pass rush or manufacture a pass rush right now, or are we just dead in the water? Chavez, what do you think about that?
Oh man, we seem to be dead in the water. I mean, we seem to be dead in the water. If you can't get a pass rush with 4 guys, maybe 5, then you've got a problem. Because if you always have to blitz, then you're putting your back and you're hanging them out to dry.
Yep.
And I don't care how good your DBs are. I mean, it's tough back there. So I played back there a lot of years, and if you can't generate a rush, you've got to have one or the other. Either you got to have great coverage guys, and I don't care. We're talking to the NFL; they get paid millions of dollars. They get beat every week. So you can't cover for 5-6 seconds. We got to generate a rush. And if we have to blitz every time, then it's not going to work. And we're going to keep giving up 35 and 40 points and 50 points. So, if we don't have guys on the end or in the middle who can create some pressure with just 4 guys, we're going to have a longer season than we expect.
Don't mean to cut in, but Chance Williams is one guy that sticks out to me. Put him on the edge. Don't even waste your time with McLeod. He's been here for 6 years.
Yep.
Put in Chance. Look for the future.
He's our best. He's our best end.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jahvari Harvey, he's got the physical measurements to be a stud. It's one of those things. He's just got to get going, get a lot of snaps. Hopefully it works out. Interesting stat. I don't know if you guys noticed, and this was brought up on Twitter, but their running back Kenneth Walker, he only had 10 yards running through the middle of the field. All of his big runs were on the outside. Mm-hmm. So the interior against the run was actually working pretty well. Yeah. The outside that's where the issue was. But just to sum what I had to say, build off of Chance Williams and go from there. You brought in a transfer from Tennessee, DeAndre Johnson, who has done. I haven't seen anything from him.
I don't even know what number that kid is.
Remember, UNC went and exposed our outside defensive ends in their run game as well. There seems to be a blueprint there, and teams seem to understand that we will be over aggressive too often, and we also have guys who simply don't know how to set the edge when we ask them to do it. That outside on both sides of the ball is going to keep getting attacked by smart OCs over and over and over again.
Yep.
I mean, I had a lot of posts on Twitter about it that all of Walker's touchdowns were off tackle to the left, off the left tackle. And that's exactly what we saw. There was times where he busted it up to the right, but, I'd be surprised. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if I go back and look at the stats and see that Walker's touchdowns were off to the left as well. And that's just a question mark for the coaches.
A lot of them were definitely to the left.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And then no tackling.
Football.
That was where the play that's all over the world now was on the left side too.
So does anybody know what he was thinking on that play, or did everybody just has a big question mark on that?
I saw a guy on Twitter saying, "Oh, I think he thought that they were going to lateral the ball," and I was like, "Bro, that delete your Twitter, please. Delete that Twitter, please."
What are the odds of that?
Yeah, bro, that guy's steamrolling us. He's not lateraling to anybody.
Take off that number 26 jersey. Seriously, take that damn jersey off. Seriously.
I was telling Paul, excuse me to interrupt you. I was telling Paul, there should be nobody allowed to wear number 26. It should be that you earn that number 26. It should either be retired or earned. People shouldn't come in and wear that 26.
And as a freshman, never played a snap, and you're wearing 26. That jersey should never be worn by anybody ever again. Maybe we should pick one more kid. Hopefully, it turns out a little bit different. Then we could retire. But right now, I don't know. I don't know.
So Chavez, you wore 24, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So did you wear that because Bruce Johnson was or did he come after you? God, it's been so
long. We were there together.
Okay, you were there together. Okay, yeah. So what was behind 24 for you?
Nothing really. When you get there, they're like, hey, we have these numbers, so I just picked 24. It was never, a big deal to me. I wore 19 in high school.
Okay.
So there was nothing really behind it for me. I would have worn anything. I just wanted to play ball.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Let's get into the final discussion for tonight's show. I actually put this out on Twitter, because it seems pretty consensual for everyone that no one believes Manny's really going to be the guy. If he pulls this ship around, they're going to make a movie about this because it's pretty at an all-time low with the fan base. If you guys could pick the next man to be the head coach at the University of Miami, now let's be realistic. You can't say Nick Saban or Paul Bear Bryant, Bo Schembechler, or whoever you want, because half of those guys are dead. But just be realistic. Who would you pick? And we'll start off with Ross. I mean, where do we go from here with head coach wise?
Well, I know that Canes fans are probably not going to exactly all agree with my take on this year because of what we experienced with Manny Diaz. But I am in the mood to get back into elite recruiting. I'm in the mood to bring in a guy who's going to instantly put us in play for all of the 5-star recruits in the state of Florida. I want Tosh Lupoy to be our next head coach. Straight up. Young, innovative, one of the best recruiters I've ever seen from coast to coast. And I'll tell you what, he comes in and he gets an opportunity maybe to hire a guy like Jimmy Lake if he fails at Washington to be our DC. We're looking at some serious firepower and serious recruiting firepower.
All right, Tosh Lupoy, Alabama, from the coaching tree of the Alabama Crimson Tide, correct? He's with the Eagles now, D-line coach?
Yeah, he's been developing D-lines in the NFL.
All right.
Coach Lake will be gone pretty soon too, Ross.
Yep, I agree.
Cliff, is it PJ Fleck you want?
PJ's not going anywhere. He got to stay with my nephew. I don't really. Obviously, I would just say Mario, but I know that's a hot thing. I don't even care who it is right now. I just want a coach with experience, a coach that has some ties down in South Florida, and a guy that's just, energetic and knows, how to run a program. I'm sick of these first year head coaches. And think about it. I mean, Folden was at Temple, but Shannon, that was his first job. He's never had a job again. You got Manny, he'll never have a head coaching job again either. You know what I'm saying? So I want a guy that has experience running a program, a guy that with energy, and a guy that has ties down here. So, like I said, my choice would be Mario, but I know that's so many people's choices. But if we don't get him, I just want this next hire for us, I think, is the biggest hire in this school's history. Because if we do not get the right guy this time, we're like 0 for 4 or 5 the last couple. And we're already
It's going
on
to take recruiting.
Yeah, bro. We're already on the deathbed now. We need to get somebody in here. And how it all starts, by the way, we haven't talked about this at all, but Flake James needs to go. He needs to go like today. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, his shit should be packed out the door.
I don't want him.
Rid of him.
I don't want him in charge. If he's in charge of our next coaching hire, it will be a disaster.
Yeah,
we got to start over from the top to the bottom if we want real change and real philosophies to come into Miami and change. Blake James has to go.
Bro, we get him out now. Let's get a month or two to hire a new guy so we can get the right freaking person in here. Because let that guy be part of the new head coaching search. Because Blake James he's a freaking clown, dude. That guy has almost killed all the sports in our school. Baseball's been crap lately. You know what I'm saying? Everything. I mean, that guy needs to go. He's the head of all this. He's started this crap since he's been there. He's been stealing money.
Will we spend the money it takes to bring in that guy that we really want, though? Will we spend the money to bring in the proven guy? And I just haven't seen us do it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, if we don't do it this time, we're going to be in real trouble.
24/7 Canes. I know you have your guy that you want. He's actually from Broward County as well. His sister was a Dolphins cheerleader. Is that the guy who you're thinking about?
Listen, I will tell you guys right now, I don't care who the next head coach is. You guys could pick it. Just get rid of Blake James for me.
So you don't want Joe Brady?
I want Joe Brady. I want Joe Brady. But what's more important right now to me, besides a head coach, it is the athletic director. Okay. You need to get rid of Blake James first, because if he's there to pick our next coach, or if he has a say about our next coach, it's just going to be the same problem over and over again. So that's just what I want to say. You guys, decide who you want. It doesn't matter to me. The next AD could pick up. Just get rid of Blake James.
Now, Chavez, you're going to have an interesting perspective. You attended Booker T. Washington High School, correct?
Yes, sir.
Guy. All right. You understand kind of, you're recruited highly out of high school. I'm sure you had coaches from every Power 5 school contacting you. Booker T. Washington High School is one of the premier football programs in Miami-Dade County in the state of Florida. Who do you think should be the next guy at Miami? Because in my opinion, I thought Randy Shannon would get the ball rolling with what he was doing at Northwestern at Booker T. It didn't work out. So who do you think?
I agree with I think my man Cliff. I think Mario would be the guy, being that he has ties to the school. I think he has ties to just South Florida overall. He has head coaching experience. Look what he's doing with Oregon right now. I think Mario would be the best guy. I think that he has, because of his ties to the school, I think that will give him the extra, that extra pride. Yeah. That'll give him that extra pride. He'll have that X factor to bring back the school that he attended. I think that he'll understand the expectations, being that he played here. He was a tight end coach when I was there. Good dude. I think he'll do great in recruiting. I think the fan base will support him. I think he's kind of proven already. So I think if there's anybody that we go after, I do like Joe Brady. I will say that I like Joe Brady, but I think that if we're going to go against anybody, I think we put all our chips on the table and you try to get Mario Cristobal.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree with that. Mario should be the first option, no matter what. But if you want Mario here, I guarantee you need to get rid of Blake James.
Yeah.
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 He won't put up with this ignorance. He's been at Oregon. He's discovered what a winning program is and what it feels like and what it takes to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get that same kind of feeling at Miami right now. He's just not going to get that vibe.
Right.
Mario will not come here with Blake James as AD.
Yeah. Fake James doesn't like Mario because of how he left last time. So to me, I mean, tomorrow morning at 8:00, that guy's stuff should be out the door. It should have been out there, this morning, or actually Sunday. I don't care. I don't care what day of the week. Just get that guy out of here.
Yeah.
If Mario's the catalyst to make that happen, let's freaking do it then. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
110% agree. Go all in with Mario Cristobal. Obviously, you need to, kind of recreate that bridge that's no longer there, and it starts with firing Blake James. We'll see what happens. It's just we're always late to the party. Mario wanted this job. I think when Mark Richt retired, so did Dan Mullen. Shiano, I think we're 2 decades late with him. His vision, he had a billboard sign in Overtown. You go on I-95 headed to the beach, man. I would pass by that all the time as a kid. He had a vision, and he turned Rutgers around. He's he was the Buccaneers head coach. Now he's back at Rutgers. Mark Stoops always wanted this job. He's probably the only coach in Kentucky history with a winning record. So a lot of people had interest in this job. It's about making the right decision. And like Cliff said, this is probably the biggest hire in Miami Hurricanes football history. If not, we're literally going to be a Tennessee 2.0 and consistently have this thing every 3 years going on with a new coaching search. So it's going to be interesting. I would say, in my opinion, the safest transition that's probably feasible is Mark Stoops. If Blake James is still our AD, he's done a decent job at Kentucky, and it's realistic. Mario, if Blake James still our AD, it probably won't happen. And then Shiano, that door is always open as well. I mean, New Jersey's really cold, so that could be an easy fix. But yeah, that's who I think. Anyone else? I mean, there's Billy Napier. I mean, Mel Tucker has a huge buyout at Michigan State. I would love him as well. But I can't really think of anyone else that I would love besides Mario, truly. So hopefully that will be the dream come true. Ross, anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Man, just whatever we do going forward, let's just hope it's creative and innovative. Because if without it, we're dead in the water like we've talked about. We have to find some kind of creativity and some kind of progress at the University of Miami. And it starts by developing our own damn players.
Yeah. Well said, man. What a way to end it.
Hey, man, real quick, Scoop. Yeah. And I didn't bring this up. 91% of our players came back this year. How the hell are we going backwards with 91% of our players here and back? Almost like the number 2 or 3 team in the nation bringing as many players back, and we're going backwards.
We've played
not supposed to happen.
27 games.
Yep.
24 of those games, we've had better talent.
Oh,
yep. It's true. Iowa, Wisconsin, all those teams don't have the talent that we have, and they're consistent every year, 9, 10 wins, kick people's butt all over the place. They don't have half the players that we do.
Development and coaching goes a long ways, guys. A long ways.
Yep.
100%. Well, appreciate it, guys. 24/7 Canes, Cliff, Chavez. Greatly appreciate your time, taking time of your night to join us. Always all about the U. Go Canes.
Straight up. Okay.